that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. The RJD, the one, I got an email this morning. Dawn asked if they could change to a virtual performance, which is in the email I forwarded you.
Yeah.
Right.
Which will be a series of things. So that what they're going to do is shift some of their budget away from just actually paying, I guess it was originally the cast. They're going to, they need to pay for some broadband Wi-Fi and the Zoom subscription that they need for the virtual performances. So, you know, it seemed to me okay, but we should vote on it. Does anybody have anything they want to say about it?
One thing I noticed was that the document that they sent out, our guidelines, they were very permissive. You know, they really seemed to want to encourage the artists and the gig economy and give mitigation where necessary. And so those seems very reasonable to me. And so I would want to support them.
I agree.
Well,
I think it's very creative. So
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, it's a creative way of meeting the problem. And
Right.
not so easy to try to do a performance, a Zoom performance. They have to have some.
actually, I have a friend who's had a play opening in New Hope, and they put it online, and it worked quite well. There's a particular website they use. So actually, you might want to tell Corey about. It might be more expensive than Zoom, but it's set up for broader audiences.
Do you know what it's
I've been to a
called?
play like that.
I can find it. I don't know offhand.
Okay. So tell me when.
I think it's called Play Per View, and you can actually, you know, buy a ticket. So
Okay.
the tickets are, you know, can be very cheap, but that gives you a subscription base.
Okay. I will tell Dawn because it's sort of her, you know, what she has to do. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, because she was originally having the performance at the museum in the garden, and so it's been changed. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
What did you want to say? Did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Thumbs up.
So no Bob, huh? Okay, that's bad. Anyway, so should we, does anybody want to talk about anything else on the list? I mean, I got specific requests from Jack and the Beanstalk, Scott Jameson, the Reggae on the Beach, Fairy House Craft, South Coast Children's Chorus, Wailing Wives, Page to Stage, Museum Access for South Coast Youth, South Coast Artists Open Studio, the Haverston Town Meeting, which I think was for the senior citizens. We Came to Work, We Came to Fish, which is Fishing Heritage. And then Shakespeare in New Bedford, Caesar is the same thing as the RJD thing. And then the Art Drive and the Dartmouth Community Band, Lauren from that group, just got in touch with me, and I guess we actually talked on the phone.
Blair,
Yeah,
on the Ferry House proposal, the library, because I have Ferry House stuff all over my house today, the library did do something with that. They provided children with kits, and then Christine, the librarian, had a half-hour Zoom yesterday.
oh, good.
Talking the kids through that, you know, using their imaginations and stuff like that. The kit was a baggie full of wonderful nature things, acorns, twigs, and all of that. So it was, she did do something with it. She did say that she had hoped that we would have had the guest speaker there, or the woman who was organizing this. So is she just asking for a postponement of that to have, I forget what
That was what it was originally. I think she was going to do what you just said, have the Fairy House Craft sort of virtually, and they were going to provide the kits. So I'm sure that she will ask for money. So that's probably not going to get put off till 2021. Karen, you'll probably have to pay that. You know, I will let her know, you know, that anything that anybody has done, and this is true too also the RJD, because they're actually going to do it in 2020 somehow or other.
Right.
They'll pay, you know, I mean, the town is being very flexible and agreeable about it.
So that's really my question, is there's three things people could be asking for. One is just canceling. The other is postponing and moving it into next year. Well, I guess one is postponing this year, the other is moving it into next year, and then the third is changing it to something other than what they initially proposed. So I don't think we need to go through each of them in this call, but it would be helpful to me if we characterized it that way so that when we're considering next year, we have a sense of what the status is, since I don't have copies of all the emails.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, who knows what's going to happen with the state next year. They're not going to have much money. So we might get another bolus of money to spend, and we might decide to double up people's stuff, or it might be that if they didn't spend it this year, the grant just carries over and they're not eligible for another grant. We're going to have to figure all that out.
There were two other possibilities in addition to the three you listed of canceling, postponing, and changing. And one was, I think you just said it, Blair, partial payment. They wanted to give partial payments if people had done things. But the one that surprised me was direct grants for COVID-19 mitigation funds. If the grantees demonstrate lost income, they can just get their grant.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask for that, Blair?
No.
They
No.
probably don't know that it's a possibility.
I mean, I forwarded everything that we were given to them. And maybe some of them don't know yet whether they want to be asked to ask for money other than to put it off. So they would ask us to mitigate.
No, it's like a revenue makeup. It's like the stimulus payments people have been gotten individually. It's to make up for their lost income. By the way,
Well,
Bob has
yes.
joined us, just so
Yes. Hi, Bob.
Hey.
For lost income. Well, I think that's sort of what, for example, the RJD is saying, that they're gonna put out some money in order to do something different. So it's they're asking to be reimbursed because they're not going to get income unless they use this pay-per-view subscription thing, which is entirely possible. But they're not going to get any income by having people watch it virtually. So that's why they need some money to help paying for the Zoom subscription and the broadband Wi-Fi. I mean, I think that's what happens, that they need.
But I think Don is right. I think there was an opening for them to say, you know, because we couldn't put the program on the way we want, give us our full payment, and some of it is just to compensate us for the inability to raise money.
Okay.
To raise
So
support.
how do you feel
Well,
about
I'm sorry, Don, I'm not saying that well.
No,
But.
that was right. And I thought they showed considerable sympathy, you know, saying, you know, these are our artists, they're people from our cultural community, and they don't get very much money anyway, and let's support them, you know, and why not? If other people are getting that kind of money for other kinds of jobs, then the artists should too.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and
in that case, Blair, it wouldn't be reimbursement. It would just be them saying, I'm asking for this grant for
Anyway.
COVID mitigation. I need money. Please send me some money.
Well, the town has already said they could be funded. I don't know why it would be a problem unless somebody on this board has a problem with it.
No,
What do you think, Bob?
I think that's great that the state has just
Yes.
offered that as a possibility, the mitigation, and you know, everyone on the list has is worthy of being reimbursed for expenses that they've made and haven't been able to do the program, or for not being able to do the programs at all, like things like senior citizens centers and so on.
Right.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Anybody not for it? So do we want to phrase something in particular, or do we want to just say that any one of these scenarios is possible? I mean, depending on what they need? Are we going
I
to,
have one question. Will they be funding for 2021? I mean, for a whole new set of projects?
I guess so. Why not?
Good question. I wonder the same thing myself, because
Yeah.
the state is, all the states are crying uncle because of
Okay,
a lot of
that's,
lost
we
revenue.
don't know them. Maybe we have to ask. I don't know.
I'd be very surprised if there is funding next year, if it comes anywhere close to what we got this year.
Yeah. What do you
Although
think?
I think there is some sympathy with, trying to keep supporting the arts community. So it's not, but we don't have a state budget yet. So I think until we have a state budget, we don't know.
Wasn't extra monies voted for Massachusetts arts and stuff? I thought there was extra money. God knows, I don't have paper on it, so, yeah.
You mean,
I do know that a lot of other grants, not necessarily this particular grant, but I know a lot of other grants have been told that funding next year will be reduced.
mm,
So,
Makes sense.
Well,
'Cause that might make a difference, like if somebody would postpone, it would mean you would still have like cultural events going on in, the library and so that would be good, especially if there weren't going to be grants for 2021.
yeah.
If people would postpone rather than just be mitigated.
well, okay, so we could phrase it that way, that if in fact they are in a position of really, really needing the income, they could probably ask for it. And if not, the town is very willing to postpone and hold it for next year, and so that they could plan to do that program next year.
That's
That,
good.
that sounds good.
I might
Okay.
flip it a bit and say, our preference would be to postpone so that we have an arts summer next summer.
Okay,
But, if there are cases of great need, we would be willing to provide the grant as a mitigation contribution, something like that.
Yeah, I think something like that is good, but I think we should also stress and make sure they understand that there's a possibility that there may not be the funding next year that we've had in the past, so that if they decided to move that funding into 2021, we would have to, I guess, agree that or state that we would carry their funding if they choose not to take anything this year, and just work that into our, whatever applications come up in October or November this year.
well, if somebody has been
Maybe-
funded this year and they don't use it and they want to postpone, they automatically get to have it next year.
Right. Right.
That's what I understand it to be.
But I understand.
would,
What did you say, John?
You mean as opposed to having to apply again?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, they can apply again for another grant, but in fact, it's a given that they get it for next year.
Yeah, I think that's right.
was there any, I don't remember reading this, Donna, so maybe you remember it better than I. Was there any stipulation about a time constraint on the mitigation monies?
I don't remember reading it.
No, I didn't either. I just would be a little concerned
Yeah.
that I know for other employees there that are having that difficulty, they're not going to keep that monies available indefinitely.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if there was anything like that. I didn't read anything like that, but I could have missed it. So that's why I'm asking.
And I could have missed it too, but I don't remember them saying what the time limit was
Okay.
in the document, but I'll go back and read it again.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah.
From the town's point of view, it's a cash account, so if we don't spend it, it's there in perpetuity.
Mm. Oh,
So it's available to us. Now, we might, let's suppose the virus faded away. Not going to happen, but let's suppose it did by, December 31st, we might want to ourselves put a limit on mitigation requests as of the end of the year or something. So people weren't showing up next year and saying, oh, I want to use funding for mitigation.
The other thing is if everybody did get the same information, if all of our grantees got the information about mitigation, no one has asked for it yet, as far as we know.
Right.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
My tendency would not be to push it, frankly.
Right.
Okay, so I need to sort of compose an email that I'm going to send to everyone who, I guess I'll send it to everyone. Some people, in fact, will have already gotten their money, because I think that the library did have one program already. I'm not sure. Didn't we pay one program, Karen, or something?
We paid 3, I think.
Okay, so those, then maybe you should tell me who they were or something before I send it out,
Well,
anyway.
Blair, sure. I think we paid something to the Zeiterion for the kids' concerts.
Right.
I think the symphonic band got paid, and I can't remember the third. I can go look, but I just can't remember it offhand. I can send it to you later. I might keep it simple and just send each person back an email that said we approved your request, and that way you don't have to write something that covers every option.
mm.
Okay. All right, I hope I have all the emails. I have all their names and I have all their numbers. But I don't know that I have what all their requests were.
Mm.
Shoot. I might, but I'm not sure. Actually I do. I guess I do have them here. Okay, and if it's somebody who's just coming along afterwards now or something, I will just say our preference is that you postpone, but if you have a great need because of COVID-19 before, and should we decide on a date? Do you want to say
I think
before?
I just say this fiscal year or something.
Mhm.
Okay,
This calendar year.
this calendar year. Okay.
You don't want to say fiscal because that would bring it to next June 30th,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the fiscal year.
Okay. So the fact that the town has the money this year is good. If people need it, they'll be able to do it next year, but they can't wait forever to use it. They can't, I don't know.
That sounds right, Blair, what you just said.
So if they were to postpone,
Yeah,
let's just say in a typical year, let's not talk about the COVID year. In the typical year, they need to do the programming by before the next cycle of money comes up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the way we've worked it is they can ask for an extension,
Mm-hmm.
but we've generally said it has to be done by the end of the calendar year.
So
there are some people where I haven't gotten reimbursement requests or for whatever reason the program hasn't been done by the time we give out money, which is usually in September.
mm-hmm.
But I think everybody's scheduled by the end of the calendar year.
The calendar or the fiscal, Karen?
Calendar, I think.
Calendar, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they haven't done it by the end of 2020, then they would have had to ask for another 6 months, I believe.
Okay, so are we going to put that into your letter, Blair? Something that if you hold off and reschedule it, the rescheduled program needs to be completed by, is what I'm asking. Should we put August 31st, 2021? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise, if we do get some funding for the following, you know, for 21, then we'll be running into the fact that that funding would be needed to be done unless they ask for an extension around the same time.
Yeah,
Well, that if it's Bob, if we have people who are holding over to 2021, that funding is coming out of this year's grant money, and any applications we consider for new applications we consider for next year would be coming from the 2021 pot, not from this year's pot. And any existing grantees we probably wouldn't consider for additional money.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think of it in a bookkeeping manner. Karen would then have, you know, possibly 40 checks and all that paperwork to do all at one time. So I'm thinking just giving a deadline of for people to understand that, you know, there's a lot of other detailed work that goes with this besides just saying, oh yeah, we'll write out your check for you. That's all.
I think the thing is, there's so much we don't know.
Right.
I think I would just tend to say, if you want to postpone, the program has to be completed in 2021, you know, that because after that point, it really does get murky. Then we're into 3 years of.
right.
But I think we could manage if we just said the program can be postponed until 2021. And
So
would
January,
not want to go beyond that.
okay.
Because I don't think there's a magic date in there. I mean, in reality, all of our stuff is either done in the school year or in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, I think an August 31st cutoff, 2021, who knows by the fall of 2021 whether there may be a whole, there might be a vaccine, and you know, schools may be reopening normally, and it might be an opportunity for some of the artists to get their programs on the way they were originally intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so you're saying end it in August 2020?
No, I'm saying give them, if they decide to push it back off to 2021, you know, give them till the end of 2021, because it's hard to foresee just where, you know, whether this virus is going to come roaring back or whether there's going to be some good news by next spring, and you know, and on and on.
Okay, so the postponement could go to the end of, must be completed by 2021 if they want to actually do the performance.
Mhm.
Right.
But if there is a great need, in other words, reimbursement for lost income because of the virus, they must do it by the end of 2020,
Oh yeah.
ask for that money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I should say in the note, and I'll write this and then I'll email it to all of you to make sure you agree with it. But I want to vote on making sure we agree on principle, because this is a town, you know, a public meeting. And then the possibility that next year there won't be as much. So, you know, they should be aware of that. I just, you know, they can apply again, because there are some people who will have completed the program. I mean, for example, some of the stuff that we've already funded.
Right.
So anyway, they should be aware of that, that maybe we won't be able to fund them and we'll fund somebody else. Anyway, we still have our other rules where if somebody is funded for 3 years, they can't repeat for a year, right? So,
Mhm.
Right.
how do you all feel about all that? Is it too complicated or?
I think draft a letter and let us, I'll pass on it and that's fine, Blair. I don't have any problem with that.
Okay,
I think you got it. When they have to apply, that they can postpone, and when they could postpone to. That's seems like
okay,
you got it.
okay. Anything else you think I should say to them?
No, I think that's it. The options are doing their program this year or asking for expenses that they've put out, but in the meantime, we're not able to do the program, or just totally pushing their programs back to over to 2021.
Yeah,
So it's
okay,
mitigation, doing the programs this year or doing them in 2021.
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, so shall we vote on this?
Yes,
Vote for a letter that asks them to, they can postpone, must be completed by 2021. If they need money, reimbursement for lost income, that has to be submitted by the end of calendar year 2020. And they can ask for, reimbursement for expenses, or if they just need the money because they were relying on it. Is that true? Should I say that? Or not say so much?
But,
I wouldn't say so much.
Okay,
I mean, we're a small funder, most of these people get money from lots of different cultural councils.
okay,
We really have,
they have other grants or multiple grants coming in. Right?
yeah, so, okay. So I'll just say, if there's a great need, it has to be requested by 2020, the end of 2020.
And it can't exceed.
Okay, so it's
what
just
they-
going to really be those two primary things.
Right. And it can't, if they need the
It can't-
money, it can't exceed what they were originally granted, obviously.
No. They could get their grant amount. Yeah, okay. Okay, so should we vote?
Mhm.
Anybody second?
second,
You said second or third?
that was-
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Did everybody say aye?
Mhm.
I believe so.
yes,
Okay,
Yes.
so, all right, so I'll send it out to everyone, and my only other question is, does anyone know someone who would like to join the DCC board? Because we lost Jane Brigoli, and I was wondering, if you have any suggestions, feel out the people, ask them, and then let me know, and we'll do it in our, the formal invitation and stuff like that.
Okay.
Anything? What?
Just curious, South Coast, they were going to get back to us on June 2nd, I think, about whether it's a go or not, no go for them.
They haven't contacted me again, and I will email Heather. She was the one who contacted me, and tell her, if they decide they want to go ahead, we will, pay them when they do it, or we'll postpone it for them. They weren't sure.
Mhm.
And she, I mean, everything is so iffy at this point. The Dartmouth Community Band wants to do something, but they're not sure when and whether anybody would come too, so. So. All right, so we adjourn.
Okay, well
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah. Well done, Blair. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Well, I have
Blair,
to,
oh,
yeah.
just so you know, on this magical fairy house kit, there was an
Yeah.
acknowledgement at the bottom. There was a paper in every kit. And it says, these kits are supported by the Dartmouth Cultural Council, a local agency supported by the Massachusetts Cultural State Agency. So
Oh,
she
how
did
fun.
acknowledge it,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay?
Yes, well, I will let her know and she can let us know, we can reimburse her, so. All right, the more people who want to do it virtually or somehow, the better, right?
Mhm.
People need entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Nice
Blair.
You.
Thank
Stay
you.
well.
Thank you.
Stay well.